seeing, because they show some of the usual suspects, Ben Stiller and Chalamet and all these guys. It gets
all of
but
them. Oh,
like
yeah.
watching Larry David lose his mind, and Seinfeld, like those are New Yorkers. Now, I don't know about T Swift. T Swift all of a sudden is on courtside losing her mind next to the actress who I always forget her name, but she's been on Law and Order for like the entire
Mariska. Is it Mariska?
Yes,
something like that.
Yes, there you go. And like they're in the same T-shirts, and then someone was saying this might be her bachelorette party.
They were the Stevie Nicks, spelled Nicks T-shirts.
Yes, which clever, nice
like
wordplay.
Yeah,
sure.
Fellow musician love there.
Sure, exactly. So I mean, I didn't know Taylor Swift was a Knicks fan. Is she a Knicks fan? I don't know. Or was she just there supporting
New York bandwagons
from Law and Order? Yeah, I don't know. But like that place.
She has a song about New York, right? It's in Secret Life of Pets.
She does. That is right. Yes.
So maybe she spent some time
lots of people love, quote unquote, love New York, but yeah, I mean, hey, look, those seats, the people who can afford those seats, good for you. I feel good for like Spike Lee, the real like diehards. Yeah, like you said, Fat Joe, and people like that. But the place was just, it just looked like it was one of the most ridiculous atmospheres ever. I mean, so it's pretty cool to see. I mean, it's hard. It'll be interesting to see if like, if the Spurs can recover from that. I mean, the thing is, that's, they were, to me, it's like, man, this might be a 4 straight for the Spurs, that's
it was looking that way early. Like early on, you're like, oh, so the Knicks finally lost and now they're back to earth. And now, are they about to lose 4 in a row and be donezo here? I had that in my mind, no doubt.
Right. And now
OG with 33, 29 points, the largest comeback in NBA Finals history.
Yeah. Yeah, and OG, I meant, Brunson, to me made it possible, but obviously OG with the winning play and so many big shots too. I mean, he also, I mean, he's an unbelievable player. Because like you said, I mean, Cat, I mean, he was basically a non-factor in this game.
Yep,
not completely, because
especially in the first half.
Yeah, the first half. I mean, he still. He is the one guy who, he really can keep Wemby out of the lane. And the second half, like that still was I think a big part of their comeback too. Because, there were times when obviously Wemby was just kind of having his way right around the rim, and so what Cat did defensively in the second half was important. But I mean, Brunson with 36, 12 of 25. Yeah, like you said, OG with 33. I mean, the Knicks are, I mean, actually, it was Alvarado who just, I mean, you got to give Mike Brown some credit for that play, because I did not see that coming.
They put him and Brunson in the game at the same time for the first time in the postseason. And it kind of worked.
Yeah, no, it did. And for a little bit, it was like, man, defensively, I don't know about this move. But Mikal Bridges was so bad, like you had to get him out of there, And to me, if you don't make that move, then you're not going to win that game. So I mean, that's one things you see sometimes in these NBA finals, just this sort of out of nowhere adjustment or personnel thing that a coach will try. I've mentioned it before when Popovich put Bruce Bowen on Chauncey Billups in the fourth quarter of Game 7 in 2005. The Pistons were going to win that game. They're going to win their second straight championship. They were up, and Bowen just completely took him out of the game. And it really, they hadn't, other than on switches, that hadn't really been a thing at all. And it was just like, man, that's like a stroke of genius at the just in the nick of time. And I think might be talking about this Alvarado thing somewhat in the same way, because obviously the series goes from, from like really looking troublesome for the Knicks to now looking like it's just like, when do they end it?
Yeah. If, not really trying not to have my mind go there yet that it's over, but
that's true. You got to keep the game face on.
Yeah. Because we've seen the Knicks fail many times before. So let's not pretend this is like, in the bag or something, especially after last night. So Yeah, I don't know. Fox is getting some heat though, isn't he? From some of his plays. The
Well, it's just unbelievable, man. Like
that last drive in the last 10 seconds tries to go for the layup and OG makes the block and Knicks get one more possession there. So people are saying Fox should have not gone for it, kill some clock, back it out, kill some time. It was 10 seconds, you're up by a point or whatever it was. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and I get that, but it looked like that was, it looked like that was a gimme to at least be fouled. And here's a complaint I have about this whole thing. ESPN has not been good. I like the announcing. Well, they have screwed up not showing the relevant replay so many times in this series.
They're too obsessed with the crowd shots, kind of.
Well, there's that, but they'll have replay queued up from like a big play that was previous, which I understand that happens sometimes. Sometimes you have to play that, then you go to the one we're all wondering about, the call that we're all wondering about. I don't think they ever show the replay of Fox getting blocked unless they showed it way later. And to me, I was like, he didn't get fouled there. Like they are not nimble enough with the replays. It's been some bad production from them. I mean, look, everything else is fine. The announcing team, I think it's a good announcing team. Obviously the inside the NBA guys.
Yeah, they seem to be on a roll there, huh?
You can't really beat that. But no, I mean, there were like 3 times last night where there was a play where it's like, okay, wait, was that a foul or was that a whatever? And they didn't have the replay ready to quickly show it to you. And that's just, to me, that's inexcusable for NBA Finals, production. Matthew from Jolton says, hey, I'm just glad to see Adam Sandler being happy in a sporting event. Yeah, Sandler too. Sandler and his wife were losing it. Brett in Lebanon says, still no Marsha, only Ben. I did see they showed Christine Taylor a little bit, but it's always focused on Ben,
Yep.
But you can always see her there,
She was right next to him. I saw her.
Yeah. Now, Texter is telling me there are multiple pictures of Taylor Swift at Knicks games throughout the years. FYI, it was on Twitter. Okay. I mean, I just didn't know. I didn't know that T Swift was a Knicks fan. I thought she what born in Pennsylvania, but she moved here young, right?
Something like that.
I mean, you're allowed to move to New York and be it if you've been a Knicks fan and have cheered for them and have gone to those games before this run, then, I think that qualifies. I think that's fine.
Yeah, she's becoming a sports fan. This is like a new era for her. I don't know. Is that like a Taylor Swift?
Yeah. There you go. Nice.
Now that she's dating or engaged to a football player, maybe she has a new respect for sports now that she's into it. Like, hey, I used to just think it was a bunch of dumb jocks and la la la, but look at all the prep that goes into being a good professional athlete, how you take care of your body, all the mental work, all the film, all that kind of stuff. I bet she's turned over a new leaf when it comes to her appreciation for sports, thanks to Kelsey.
So she didn't used to appreciate sports?
Well, I don't remember seeing her at tons of sporting events in the past. I mean,
there is like an old Tennessee Titans commercial with
an old Preds commercial too. There's an old Preds commercial with her in there as well. So that's some local ties, but like nationally, now that she's engaged to a football player, I think she's she's more into the sports. She's embracing a new side.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I mean, yeah, she obviously goes to a lot of sporting events. Thank you. She went to when Knicks Cavs. So I guess I didn't realize when she went to the Knicks Cavs game with Travis, who is a huge Cavs fan. Those guys are from Cleveland. Was she there in Knicks gear? Was she rooting against him actively? Were they like at each other's throats for that game?
That's a good question. I don't remember that. I don't think so. Not that I saw.
That's okay. All right. Okay. Herb from McEwen says, great. More Taylor Swift. I mean, but it was, I mean, that scene of them jumping around, losing their minds along with everything else, yes, the crowd shots get, I mean, it's like, again, some of them, especially so repetitive, but I must say that was quite a scene. And again, you feel the best for people like Spike Lee who have suffered through all of this. I mean, forever. I mean, and even like like the 90s Knicks. They're all sitting together. You got John Starks out over there just screaming
Oh, they showed
at the
Starks,
refs.
Houston, Ewing in one shot at some point in this series, and I was like, man, 13 and 14-year-old Ian is having a flashback here. It was good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, those Knicks teams were always, that was obviously good. I mean, they made the finals twice, in the 90s. But just, like not quite good enough to win it, obviously. And they had a lot of other teams. Like the previous, Ewing went through all the stuff of he couldn't get past, any of the best teams in the East.
Just Pacers, Bulls in particular. Yeah.
Yes. But before that, Celtics, Pistons, then Bulls, then Knicks, then Indiana, obviously those Pacers Knicks series were unbelievable. Yes.
The Heat had a couple of good ones in there too. But yeah, Josh Hart missed that layup late to kind of give him a lead, and he back rimmed it on a layup, just like Patrick Ewing back rimmed his finger roll against the Pacers.
That's a good call.
And I immediately had a flashback to that, like, oh my gosh, they could have taken the lead. He layup, finger roll, back rimmed, missed, just like Patrick Ewing did against the Pacers. I was like, oh, we're done right there. Cooked.
I didn't think about that, but my gosh, that is an all-time. I mean, if you're a Knicks fan, that's an all-time epic moment.
Still. Yeah.
Yeah. And it did. It looked like Josh Hart's miss there was going to
cost them.
Potentially was potentially going to be the play. But again, that's where, Brunson is, there are times when the Spurs have done a really good job on him, I think, where they've switched and they've been physical with him and they've made it really tough on him. I mean, he started last night to, just really just pull up and launch. And of course that ends up being the winning play. When he shot that shot, I was like, well, okay. I mean, I was like, there's no way that's going in.
Right.
And, but he was getting double, and it was like either you find somebody right now or you just put it on the rim and hope something good happens, which of course it did. And no one on the Spurs side, I mean, no one even looked at OG Anunoby.
It looked like
he's flying in there.
Brunson could have given it back to OG right away, right after the inbound pass. Brunson gets it. They kind of, Wemby comes at Brunson. Somebody else comes at him. Maybe
they double him.
Yeah, he could have given it right back to the inbounder, OG, who was open kind of for a three right there on the wing. But Brunson pulled from way out there. And as you said, Wemby was attacking Brunson as the shooter, and there was no one really down there to rebound. And OG just came flying in, unblocked, one hand through the air. He timed the jump. He timed it perfectly. He couldn't have timed it any better. And I don't know how he had enough touch on that to get it in. But
no, it was that really was like an incredible play and an easy one, even when you're kind of untouched like that, to not finish. I mean, it takes the body control and the touch there in that moment,
because he was coming in pretty hot,
and it was all-time play.
Yeah, and it was a big rebound, off a three back rim, so it's not like his little short guy.
Right, all-time play, all-time game. I mean, in this Knicks for Knicks fans, of course, but even I think New York fans, and I mean, for the NBA, I mean, this is looking like an all-time team. And, if we could get rid of the bandwagon fakers like Kaharski, it would really be a much more enjoyable experience.
1040 text, say it, Joe, say it.
Yeah.
And of course, Joe did not, but that's okay. We were probably already asleep.
Yeah, I mean, I was like head to pillow immediately, and then I wake up to that. I'm like, good God, Kaharski. Chase from White Bluff, Spurs forgot to guard the inbound. But yeah, I mean, that's that they decided. I like the decision. They decided to double Brunson and say, you know what, he's not going to just get to break somebody down and get off a clean shot. He's going to make it the way he's playing. I like the double decision. I do. And it's just, someone like Castle has to be aware and just it's everybody's ball watching. And if you have some awareness and just put a body on them, you've got a tied series. But instead, Knicks are probably going to win it all, but incredible game. And when we come back, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Robby's on his way in. We're going to talk about the World Cup. I have a question for people about that coming up on Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here, 102.5 The Game. I'm Joe Rexrode. Robby sailing on the way in. Apologize for our technical difficulties. And Ian, I have this question, okay, and you're well, you may not be the person to answer it because you are a soccer. I consider you a soccer.
I'm an in-between soccer fan. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the most hardcore, but I do like the World Cup, and I watch a lot of pretty much every Nashville SC game.
Yeah, that's so. The question I have is because I think it's maybe more for casuals like, I mean, let Robby speak for himself. I'm a casual. It's strange. I really like the World Cup enough that like I watch games not involving the United States,
sure,
and enjoy it. Like the stakes are really high. Yeah, I mean, like I mean, there's been some great games or matches, I guess, that I've watched over the years of the World Cup that I really enjoyed, and I just I don't follow the Premier League. I'm not Nashville SC is a casual thing for me. It's great, great, and they're having a great season and all that. I never played the game, so I mean, a lot of people could probably relate to that. This is the time of year now. We're winding down. I mean, the Knicks. I know you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch, but the Knicks are, probably going to wrap this thing up. We have a great, hopefully here, 3 games left, or at least whatever the conclusion of the Stanley Cup final, and
which
then you get in,
which has been good. Cup final's been very good.
Absolutely. No, it's been great, but it's about to end. It's about to end, and we're going to be going into the dead zone of the summer. So does this for, I guess I'm asking everybody, does this eliminate the usual summer sports blues for you to have the World Cup right now? I think some people would say that say yes in the summer Olympics years. Now, the problem with the Summer Olympics sometimes is, to me, it's like it's moved. Like I think when it was in LA, I think it was like pretty much in July, if I remember correctly. Like I'm going way back here, like 84. In different times, I would like to see the Summer Olympics be more in July, because that is where there's just this void, and it's typically been more in August. So you got football ramping up, so that can preoccupy people. But this is going to be obviously smack dab in the middle of the dead zone. So does this change? Does this make this a much more tolerable, sports summer for having the World Cup?
I would say yes for myself. I mean, we got 2 matches today, 2 matches tomorrow, and then I think we have 4 pretty much for the next stretch, and they're spaced out throughout the day. And it's definitely something to keep on for sure. I'm going to be watching a lot of it because, as you said, there's not really much else going on. And especially on the weekends when it's nice outside, it's warm, we're outside, we're on the back, playing outside with all the kiddos. I'm going to have it on my phone streaming and keeping up with stuff. Keep it on the TV in the background. I will definitely be having it on. Yeah. I mean, am I going to be intently watching every match? No. But are we going to be able to intently watch the USA matches that we probably normally wouldn't have as like a, societal thing? Maybe some bring together time, a couple of watch parties. I think it has potential to do some juice. Yeah.
Yeah, it should help. It should help get through, the sports dead zone of the summer. Now, does that significantly impact like this program, for example? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to talk about. It's this obviously, I think selfishly in terms of our show. I mean, you get we're about to get out of you get into some mini camp, and then it's just like you're just waiting for camp, and then after about a week of training camp, you're like, well, okay,
let's start the season. Yep, well, we got to watch the preseason game, I guess.
Got another day of let's count up the Cam Ward's incompletions and completions, and see how the kicking went at the end of the
start of training
practice.
Camp only lasts the juice only lasts for a couple of days, and then it kind of the shine wears off there.
Yeah, so that's the reality of that when we get to that. But I do think on the way there, it's going to be more of a fun summer because of this. Chase from White Bluff says, "I love World Cup, but I keep up with footy a decent bit anyway." Footy, I like that.
I like that.
Brian says, "Yes, the World Cup is fantastic, despite FIFA being a horribly corrupt and just awful organization." Yeah,
Well,
I think
that's
everybody
true.
everybody can agree about that for sure. I mean, again, there's with the Olympics, there's been a tremendous amount of corruption in the IOC too. But I mean, I'm a huge Olympics person, have been since I was a kid. It's like, the product itself can still be good, and you can still appreciate it and all that, despite the organization running it. You do have baseball and the home run derby. Yeah, and again, I love baseball. If you have a team if you're a baseball fan and you have a team, and a lot of people listening are Braves fans, well, that's great. Things look good. You got a great summer following that. Of course, I've already given up on the Tigers. They have made a little bit of a surge here to get somewhat competitive, but yeah, that's a big thing. If you have a baseball team and a baseball team that's competitive, then that obviously changes things.
Yeah, the All-Star game and the home run derby is a fun little day or two, but it's only a day, maybe two, right? The All-Star break, this will last multiple weeks. So that we got some longevity here, and it'll kill I don't want to say kill, but it'll definitely help give us some stuff the entire month here of June.
Right. And look, Koharski kind of broke it down for us yesterday, something that I do appreciate him talking about. He should shut up about the Knicks and basketball because he doesn't watch it and doesn't care, and is a fake fan jumping on the bandwagon. But I do appreciate his soccer analysis, and I'll take a fun to watch team that can score, and might have to get into some, some
shootouts,
more wide open
stuff,
games. Yeah. To be able to win games and, maybe take a stab at it.
It would be nice. It would be nice to see the U.S. win a couple of games here, at least make it out of the group. And I assume they'll make it out of the group, but I don't.
Yeah, it'd be a huge disappointment if not.
So if they make it out of the group, which we'd assume that they will, that at least gives you one knockout round game. If they win that one, maybe we have a little bit of momentum here, which would actually be fun. That might take it up another notch. How the U.S. does, of course, will make a difference in how fun or how much people tune in. So maybe they could make a run, and that would be even another notch up.
Yeah, we got a texter saying, I don't care if the U.S. isn't playing. And that's fine. I get that, but even if you have that, and like you said, they are competitive and do something, that matters. Someone pointing out, David on the YouTube chat, we got 2 golf majors. Sure. I mean, there's always stuff, but this is, to me, a real nice addition to the landscape. And as Travis says, 17 days straight of games.
Yeah, that's legit.
Almost
right there.
USA and South Africa. Yeah. So we can continue to discuss this. Also, the Knicks and the Spurs. We're going to get into the Titans later. We also, of course, have Charles Robinson, as usual, coming on. And coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, we're going to have the best and worst in sports. 102.5 The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is the worst. You look like you're feeling sorry for yourself. I don't even miracles yet. Unbelievable.
He's one of one. He is him.
This is a Coke bottle. It's not a crystal ball.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Okay, let's go. It is that time of the week. Time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your best things, your worst things here on the program on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Joe Rexrode, good morning. Time for your best and worst things in sports.
Morning. Thank you. My best. This one's easy to me. I mean, this is amazing. Mahoney Donick. How about Mahoney Donick?
Nice.
Son of Willie, Denison University, the D3 Division III College World Series. They won the whole damn thing. 8 games in 7 days. This is according to Chase McCabe. I'm counting on this as being factual, Chase McCabe. 8 games in 7 days. You had a couple of 10-inning games. During at one point during this, I got a text from my editor, Mitch Light, who of course is really, really close friends with the Donicks. Like Mahoney Donick is on the mound in the College World Series. That is awesome stuff. Congrats to Mahoney, to Willie, to the Donicks. That's a fantastic story. That's awesome stuff. My worst in sports is the San Antonio Spurs and the absolute utter choke job that they put on last night. You can take the best of that. I'll leave that for you guys, Ian, whoever. If you want, the Knicks, they deserve the best. They deserve all the flowers, but the Spurs also deserve plenty of discredit and blame for the way that they completely blew that game.
Ian Safar, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
For best, obviously, last night's comeback is up there for the Knicks. But I think in general, Joe was talking about this earlier in the show. The production and some of the replays have maybe been a little bit lacking in the NBA and stuff. But in general, my best, I think the ESPN TV crews in both the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final have been very good. You combine Richard Jefferson, Legler, and I don't know why Breen. On the NBA, and then McDonough and Ray Ferraro for the hockey. I'm not a big TV play-by-play crew guy, but in general, I think they've done a very good job, both of them, and they've been very.
McDonough's the best play-by-play announcer in sports.
I love McDonough in hockey, and I think the basketball has been good. The chemistry between Richard Jefferson, and Legler has actually been pretty good, and throw in the inside the NBA guys. So that'll be my best this week. And then worst, I don't know, when that Sorsby stuff come out? Friday? Thursday?
Yeah, it qualifies.
That's up there for me. That's been some rough discourse this week.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's a pretty good worst.
My best thing in sports, Jordan Staal. It's pretty cool, man. Like, he has scored a goal in each game of the Cup final. He has not been in the Cup final since 2009 when he was a young pup and won a Stanley Cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And he's got 5 goals in the series. He's scored in all 4 games, a couple of huge goals in game 4. We'll see what it looks like now for the rest of the series for Carolina and him in game 5. But, I mean, you're talking about a guy that at this stage of his career, and really for a while now, has not necessarily been known for his offense, right? I mean, he's a shutdown centerman. He did score 20 goals this year, so it's not like he can't score. But he's got goals in every game of the Cup final at 37 years old. It's a cool story, kind of raising your game at the biggest time. And it's been so long since he's been in a Stanley Cup final. To be back in there, he's making the most of it. So Jordan Staal, my best thing in sports. It's cool to see, Joe.
Very cool.
Very good stuff on that front. My worst thing in sports, I was going to take the Sorsby stuff too. I'll take another step to it. The worst thing in sports this week are all the people who are like, well, if he's just betting on his own team to win, who cares? Who cares if it's just his own team that he's betting on to win? That discourse is driving me up this wall in here in the studio, Joe. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but there's so much wrong with that when you really dive down deep into it. We don't have time to get into it all right now. But, sometimes he bets on his team to win. Sometimes he doesn't bet on his team to win. What does that tell you, right? I mean, you could leave it off as simple as that if you wanted to. We can go deeper on that with the prop bet stuff that you talked about yesterday. But there's been way too much of that discourse this week, and I don't like it.
I mean, have you seen the statements that all these guys are coming out with at Texas Tech?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's, Joey McGuire sitting here like, oh, it's not like he it'd be. I mean, the statement from the AD is like, we are trying to support his mental health by playing him. What? Support his mental health? What are we talking about here? Then
I mean, they'd be better off just
Campbell,
not saying anything. Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible that they decided to open their mouths, and this is their strategy. Cody Campbell is out here saying, well, what about the Penn State thing? Are you kidding me, man? It's these, and of course, doing this, it's just because we're Texas Tech and people are mad that we're, dude. How many times have I said on this show that I love it? I love what they've been doing. Many times. There are a lot of people who feel both ways about it. But if you're seriously trying to push that this is about Texas Tech, I mean, you're either stupid or you're just lying to everybody, and you are, and it's just, the whole thing is just it's intolerable at this point, because really the answer to all this is just that Texas Tech just does the right thing, right? But their statements that came out of like a big PR campaign yesterday tell us they're not going to do the right thing.
You know what my favorite Joey McGuire quote in all this is? Who, for those who don't know, is the head coach at Texas Tech. Says this is said he heard from Sorsby's parents after he was granted the injunction, and this was the quote, as excited as he was, his mom and dad called, and all they wanted to talk about is Texas Tech going to be okay. That's the quote he threw out there. Like, oh, okay, sure. I'm sure his parents are deeply concerned about how okay Texas Tech is going to be.
Wow. Yeah, all of it is just like, yeah, don't they decided, let's talk. Meanwhile, Cody Campbell, of course, is also, as he's just blasting all this crap about Texas Tech and all, it's just the haters, and he's trying to get this bill passed, which, is more and more appearing doomed. I mean, the senators, Cantwell and Cruz are like, well, we've already compromised, so now it's time for you all to compromise. It's like, okay, well, so then we're just not going to have anything. Sounds good. Thanks again. Thanks for trying.
Trevor says, can the best be this guy Freddie that's here for the World Cup, and he's traveling across America, discovering things, posting his journey, and he's quite amazed at the things that we have. I saw the Waffle House stuff. I saw a lot of stuff yesterday on TikTok, Ian, of all these people traveling for the World Cup, and they're running like the big gulp in some of these gas stations. They're like, look at this thing.
Oh yeah,
this thing's unbelievable.
The Buc-ee's, couple of Buc-ee's appearances on there. It's good.
Okay, what's the handle? I need to follow this guy. What's the Freddie?
Oh, it's Freddie LA7 or something like that.
I'll find it for you, but it's pretty funny. It's like, hey, Waffle, this is unbelievable. I saw some people ended up at Cracker Barrel, and they're like, this is fantastic. This is just great stuff out here. I was like,
okay, here we go.
Everybody's experiencing American culture right now. Good to hear.
Freddie LA7. Is this a guy, 350,000 followers? Is this like all new since he started hitting Waffle Houses?
I think so. I think he's picked up some followers lately.
I'm in. Also on X, which you've abandoned, I'm seeing these pictures. I'm seeing pictures of Taylor Swift agonizing at a Knicks game in 2014. So the receipts are there, man.
615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. We will get into the Titans and Cam Ward coming up next. What do we make of the Cam Ward discourse this week about maybe some struggles with inaccuracy in practice? We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home to the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Charles Robinson will be with us later in the program. We will get into all things NFL with him, so looking forward to that. The Rob Rant coming up later this hour on the program, taking your thoughts in the meantime at 615-737-1025. Our phone number. Joe, a lot of discussion this week on the Cam Ward front of some videos that have been put out there from OTAs. We talked with Kuharski yesterday, who was there, who has watched this take place, and he talked about it. He said, the net drill is one thing, which I largely agree with. Like, I don't really care if the quarterback is really good at throwing the ball into a stationary net. Like, it's just not football. Your receivers aren't standing still in the NFL. It's just there's a lot about it that doesn't translate to actual football. But I know people freaked out about that. There's accuracy concerns in general about Cam Ward. We talked about that at the end of last year. We talked about that all throughout the offseason, that's going to have to be something that gets better. And it's been a big talking point this week. Kuharski explained yesterday, Joe, on the show that, it wasn't just the net thing. He wasn't necessarily, having a couple of good days out there this week on the accuracy front. Some of that, you look at just the completion numbers, and that doesn't tell the whole picture. Like he brought up a scenario, I think he said with Alec Manor, where he didn't get the second foot down in the end zone. That was a pretty good pass by Cam Ward. So there's a lot of nuance that goes into it. But what have you made of the Cam Ward discourse this week? Are people making too big a deal of it? Is it fine that people are making this big a deal of it? Where do we come down on the Cam Ward stuff this week?
I think everything's fine in terms of the overall commentary. I do like to flip this around and think about the alternative, which is Cam Ward absolutely, just lighting up the world in these practices, commanding the offense, jumping right in, having this chemistry, showing improved accuracy, all these things. I do think that we would still be like, okay, great. It's practice. I mean, I think that's always like our conversation around this stuff, right? Is like, guys, like it's June 11th right now. It's just, they go out there for a little bit. They throw it around. They have limited practice time, so it's not unimportant. It's important to them. It doesn't necessarily tell us much. But if he were doing that, because I think there's a lot of I'm struggling for words on this, not movement, but there's a lot of people who are trying to say like this doesn't mean much, like this is no big deal, right? I do wonder if the overreaction the other way would be policed like that, and I mean, look, I think there's some human nature / this is what it's like in the off season. Optimism generally overtakes pessimism, even with a franchise that struggled like this one. And even with the situation going on with Cam Ward as it is, which is, there's a lot for him to prove. So optimism generally, like, people want to be optimistic, even people covering a team. But I do feel like maybe there's a little bit too much policing of concern, even though I just said it's practice. I think that there is some cause for concern just with his ability to, again, just be as accurate as often as he needs to be. And I think that there is maybe a little bit too much push to downplay what we're seeing. Not that it should be blared all over the place like some, or I guess one person, wants to do, which is just going to it's over, forget about it. This is the final story. This is the conclusion. This means so much. No, I'm not saying that. But I think that, I think there's cause for a little bit of concern right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's, regardless of this week or OTAs, I mean, you're concerned about it anyway, right? I think most people are. You're concerned about the accuracy part of it anyway. Now, the one thing I will say, and Kuharski touched on this a little bit yesterday with us on the show. You'd like to see him be better, right? Like in improving in the accuracy part of this. And it's practice in June with nobody running at you that can actually bring you to the ground. So there's a lot of limitations to what it means. But frankly, like those limitations, like the fact that it is practice in June and you're not going to get hit, like you would think that would lead to better accuracy, right? I understand that there's a new system that you're trying to learn. And I don't discount that, right? I mean, you're trying to get on the same page with these new receivers. There's a new system. There's new terminology. There's a lot that you're working through right now. And that's what this time of year is for, is to iron out some of the stuff and work through it. And by the time camp rolls around, you're at a place of, if not mastery, close to it when it comes to this new part of the offense. So you're ready to go by the time the regular season rolls around. But I think the question with him is pretty simple. Mechanically, and the way he delivers the ball and just the player that he is he ever going to get to the point where he can consistently hit the targets that he needs to hit? Like, can he consistently, game in, game out, make the throws that he needs to make? And that's going to be the big question on him from here on out as to what it means for the rest of his NFL career. Now, I'll say this. I do think, Joe, if it was the other way, I think if he was out there just lighting it up right now in training camp, there would be Titans fans that we would have to talk out of, like, making MVP bets for Cam Ward at this time. Because, what I've found, and this is not just a Titans fan thing, it's an NFL fan in general thing. When things are going really well this time of year and it's like, wow, the reports out of OTAs and, Buffalo or so-and-so's tearing it up out there. And it's like, oh, great. And all the Bills fans just get really excited about it because it's awesome and their guys doing stuff and they put all kinds of stock into it. And if the reports maybe aren't that great and it's like, well, so-and-so's struggling out there, the fans go back to, what's June? Who cares? It's like, well, I get that because I kind of tend to go that way with both things. It's June. Who cares? But you can't really do both, right? Like you can't celebrate one and then not think the other one matters when maybe it's not going well.
Yeah. I lost the text, but someone pointed out or asked the question of, can you give me the example of the QB, who has struggled in OTAs, who then was great in the season? The problem with that question is no one ever, like, truly, we don't remember. We might remember, you might remember stuff from the spring if it's like extreme, like a Traylon Burks thing, right? Where it's like, he can't participate. And then it turns out we talk about the asthma and all that stuff. Or I do remember like Julio Jones is like the one practice after they traded for him and he looked awesome out there, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the greatest offense of all time next year. But it's just hard to answer that question because, look, it's probably true that there aren't too many examples of great quarterback seasons that followed up, OTAs or whatever, mini camp, all the spring stuff where it was like constant, like, man, what is wrong with this guy? But certainly have seen quarterbacks struggle a ton, like in training camp and then play better than that. Tannehill is an example of even like 19 when he came here and was backing up Mariota. I remember the Patriots practice and Tannehill was really bad in that.
Yeah.
And it was like, for one thing, I remember it was like, these people need to stop talking about Tannehill just taking Marcus's job. Like he looks terrible out there, which of course he wasn't going to do until several games into the season. But it's like a lot of it is a very trivial overall. But it's a fair question. Like, and there's no way to track it or go back, but there's probably not a lot of examples of that. Probably not a lot of examples of, consistent concerns about this and consistent, like, well, but it could be this, could be that. Let's make this excuse, make that excuse. And then that leads into this great season. But I also think that in this particular situation, the new offense has to be talked about. It has to be considered. And I think that is, and Karski was talking about that yesterday. Some of these things are like, I think you just missed that throw. Some of them could be a timing system thing, and that's where you're working some of this stuff out right now.
We'll take your thoughts on Cam Ward and the accuracy discussion with him this week. Are you concerned? Do you look at it and say, it's June? Who cares? Where do you come down on all this? 615-737-1025, our phone number. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Today, the Nashville Sounds taking on the Durham Bulls at First Horizon Park. First pitch at 6:35. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks, Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, and Social Cantina. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Our football offseason coverage Brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works. From kickoff to last call, Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of off-season coverage here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Joe, a couple of people asking about this. Like, if it's just practice, shouldn't your number one quarterback look good in shorts and a T-shirt, basically? Like, shouldn't that be a very easy situation for the quarterback to look good in at that point? I would say yes. Now, again, you can go find examples of quarterbacks that maybe haven't looked great in OTA practices before. Like, if memory serves me correctly, Jordan Love had a bad OTA practice last year that a bunch of Packers fans freaked out about. It happens. So it's not the world's biggest deal at the end of the day. But in general, yes. These practices are kind of designed for the quarterback to look good.
Yeah, see the Jordans, like a Jordan Love having a bad practice, to me, it's like when at that point he had already like gone on the road in a playoff game and just destroyed a team. Like,
that's true.
He was a proven player. Like, I don't, once a player, again, it's kind of like I did buy, like, going back to Tannehill, 2021, he threw, a few more picks in that, and I understand how the season ended, but like, I took him at his word, and from what I saw too, which was he was just like, he was the QB, he was the guy, and he was trying to he forced some stuff, in the red zone and stuff just to see it. He was forcing some stuff to A.J. Brown and Julio Jones just to like see what he can get away with, what he could. So that doesn't mean anything to me. That's a proven quarterback in a system he knows, and just kind of messing around, in practice. Yeah, I agree. Like, all these guys, if they're actually good players in the league, you would think that they'd carve things up when they're in shorts. They're untouchable, and a lot of these things are just the advantage does go to the offense. A lot of the drills, of course. So,
well, and the other part of this is and I think this would be the more concerning part, Joe. Like, Cordell Flott's not out there. As Alontae Taylor out there all that much, right? Like, it's not like they're going up against like some fierce secondary out there either.
That is true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you should be able to have even more success because of that. It's some of this is just it is just me thinking alternative reality of, like, if it were the other way around right now, it'd be so. Again, like this whole thing is, and I think it happens a lot when there's a somewhat polarizing player, the Cam Dews and the what are you doings, they're gonna want to claim victory as quickly as possible on either side of that.
You gonna make an aggressive push on that front this year? We get T-shirts.
I think the camp, right. I think right now the what are you doings are probably, they probably can maybe print up some T-shirts if they want, but the Cam Dews should not be discouraged too much. It's a long way to go, a lot to figure out. But yeah, I'm actually surprised this hasn't already become a T-shirt, frankly. It's sitting right there for somebody.
It is
to have a marketing to make a lot of money. So you're allowed. I'll let you all monetize that if you want. Anybody out there?
There you go. It's free advice from Rexrode here on the program. Yeah,
Good
look.
Stuff.
I stand by this. We've talked about this for 5 years on the show. It's hard for me to get too bent out of shape one way or the other about practices in June. Now, the only caveat I've got to that is when you're already having these sort of discussions anyway about a particular weakness with a player, and that weakness continues to be on display, you do start to wonder about it. I don't know that I'm concerned about it yet. Like, if he gets into training camp and certainly early into the regular season, which is ultimately what's going to matter, and accuracy continues to be an issue, it's going to be like, okay, is he going to figure this out? Because if not, it's just going to so limit what he's able to do as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I'm not there yet. We'll see what happens. I do think in these type of situations, like one of the things, for instance, for other people, it's injury, right? With Treylon Burks forever, it's like, can the guy stay healthy? Can he stay on the field? And he's not the only one we've talked about this with, but if you get hurt in minicamp or you get hurt in OTAs, that's concerning to me, right? Because it's like, okay, are you going to be able to stay healthy throughout the course of the season? when you've already shown a history of not being able to stay healthy. So the only thing I really put into the like stuff this time of year is if it's problems that we have seen creep up before, whether it's in the performance or in the health of a player, and they start to show themselves again in OTAs, that's when you allow your mind to wonder, like, is this going to get fixed at any point?
Yeah. Look, multiple people here are coming at us with the like Justin Graver, Music City Elbow. Apparently he showed some articles from last year where in Boston and in Chicago, Drake May, Caleb Williams struggling in OTAs.
Sure.
So that's fair. William Madison points that out. Other people. Yeah, that's fair. And that happens. And certainly we know what Drake May did last year. And I tell you what, if Cam Ward is anything close to that, then here we go. We can come back and look at all this and laugh at it. The Caleb Williams thing. Someone tweeted me the other day. You guys talk about accuracy so much with Cam Ward. Well, what about the low completion percentage? Last year for Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was 58%, but he also was at 3,900 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. I mean, he's 7-3 in attempt, like all those numbers, and also a lot of wins, by the way, and huge plays to win games.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, yes, the 58% is bad. That's a bad number, and that's the thing with Caleb Williams. But when you also have 4,000 yards, 27-7 TD to pick ratio, and some of the winning plays he made, like that's like those things were not part of the Cam Ward experience. And again, I'm not comparing their situations either. Caleb Williams' situation last year was much better. I mean, I think Ben Johnson was definitely a great hire for them, and he had a much better team around him. So no argument. I mean, that's a good example, but like to your point there, it is that one thing, and it's a very, very important thing. And for the most part, like at a certain age or a certain time of career, it's again, like if you want to compare it to pitching, you can, or if you want to compare it to shooting a basketball, you can. Like your shooting percentages are kind of what they are, like pros typically, if you look at like most players' careers, like it's sort of like what they're able to do in terms of, again, shooting a basketball is not the exact same thing. Of course it's not, but it's kind of like, it's a muscle memory thing. And it's the whole, the physical aspect of the game, not the mental aspect, where, like, again, some people are just freaks. Someone pointed out earlier, like, Drew Brees, and in practices, he would do insane things. He had to be able to do that because he couldn't do other things.
Right.
And so there's again, Josh Allen's never going to be a guy who does stuff like that Drew Brees could do, but he does stuff Drew Brees could never dream of doing. And that's your hope with Cam Ward, right? Is that he is more like a Caleb Williams type player who can compensate for that. But in the meantime, like, that still has to get better. That specific part of his game somehow.
Ryan in Florida says people are going to hate on Cam just like people are going to hate on Levis. It's practice. It's like, well, Levis sucked, so I don't know that that's the best example, right? Like, it's just not good. Like, you don't want. Frankly, I don't remember, Joe, all that much people hating on Levis at practice. I think even Brian Callahan looked at him practice and was like, okay, yeah, there's something here. And then he got into the games and he completely self-destructed.
But there were bad practices for sure. Levis was definitely, I think, a very up and down guy. Like, he'd have a bad day and a good day kind of guy, So, like you said, unfortunately, like, some guys can do that, and then they're quote unquote gamers.
Yeah.
And I think like Caleb Williams is an example of that, right? Whereas Levis, unfortunately, went the other way, and he drifted more toward the bad performances than the good ones.
Well, and there's a huge difference in Caleb Williams and Cam Ward in terms, like, if you watch them play, like, defenders just have a really difficult time bringing him to the ground. Like, you watch him in the playoffs or you watch him late in the regular season. I mean, you've got guys like Micah Parsons full on sprinting after him, and they can't get him. Like, he's very good he's very elusive back there. And so because of that, he extends a lot of plays. He makes a lot of plays doing that. I mean, he also extends a lot of plays, runs out of the pocket, runs out of the pocket, waits till the last second, and then dumps it out of bounds. Like, I'd love to know how many of Caleb Williams' incompletions last year were throwaways because there was a ton of them in a few games that I watched.
Yeah, and I don't know what he's going to become. Is he going to put it all together and become like? I think he has the talent to be
He's on the Madden.
like a special player. Yeah, well, there you go.
Is that good
But
or
also,
bad?
yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. The Cam Ward is. I mean, he is sort of like Caleb Williams light at times, right? He's not nearly as elusive.
Right.
He's not nearly as fast, and he doesn't. Cam Ward makes some special throws. He doesn't quite have what Caleb Williams has in that regard either,
not.
right?
Caleb Williams is way more talented than Cam Ward.
But there's a comparison
Right.
there in terms of what are the plays that stand out for Cam Ward. It's plays like that.
Correct.
It's
Yes.
plays like he makes. I think with Cam Ward, again, when you're a tick below that in terms of just the overall, the highest, like the ceiling. So then you that's where you have to make up for that. If you're going to compare those two players to be successful in this league, you have to be able to hit more singles and do it at a higher rate.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. More of your thoughts to get to on the Titans. We got the Rob rant coming up. Charles Robinson at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, one texter says, before the season's over, I think the Titans will discover that Mitch Trubisky is the best quarterback on the roster. That would be a very tough place to be if that's the case, Joe. I'm sincerely praying that that's not the case.
Well, look, here's the thing. If you said right now, today, which of these guys would give you a better chance of winning a game? I mean, you could make the case for Mitch. So maybe, well, I mean, just the fact that he's been in the league.
Man, that doesn't speak well of the number one overall pick to me.
No, I get that, but I am saying that again. This is a new system conversation too, right? Sure. I mean, so I'm taking that into account with this. I would hope you would not be able to say that 6-7 games into the season, something like that, right?
I mean, if you want to go by completion
6-7.
Yeah, he did that again, didn't he?
There you go. There we go.
Trubisky completed 71% of his passes last year in 4 games.
That's pretty good.
I have no idea how many passes he possibly threw, but he did throw for 313 yards. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if it ends up getting to, well, best chance to win is with Mitch Trubisky this year.
We got bigger questions.
You're talking that would have to mean unbelievably bad Cam Ward performances, right? Because obviously especially with the front office, that's poison to the front office. So it's hard to imagine that. Early on, again, like right now in practice, I know that, Kaharski has said it. He said, like, Trubisky looks better than him, So, okay. So at this point, you can see that. A lot of the question is how much of this is like after several weeks of repping in this system and getting the timing down, how much better do things look? How many more passes are on target because everything is aligned with timing, everything is everything is comfortable with him with system,
Yeah.
And there has to be some of it. It has to be. And then then at some point you're going to boil it down to, okay, how many throws are you missing that you absolutely cannot miss? Great job extending a play, throwing across your body, on a line for an unbelievable touchdown. But like, how many of these throws that any NFL quarterback has to make are you missing?
Yeah, for sure. And look, I don't know that I can envision a single scenario this year in all seriousness where Mitch Trubisky, barring injury, sees the field for the Tennessee Titans, regardless of how bad it gets. Like, I think you got to figure it out at some point if you're Cam Ward, and the Titans will exhaust every possible opportunity for him to do that. But if that's even like coming up in conversation, to me, that's like more than just like your random troll here and there. If that's coming up in legitimate conversation, that is a bad day for the Tennessee Titans if that's the case.
Yeah, because there will be the obvious. We've already talked about it. Some people have made the comparison, and I think I've said this, but again, you were talking about a failed starting quarterback who has been relegated to, like, you're a talented enough, reliable enough backup, and you're comparing that to someone who was a productive, actually highly productive starter, who he got a second deal as a starter at the place that drafted him high. And then ultimately they moved off him, and some of that was injury related. There are very different situations there. And also, by the way, you're talking about year 2 of Cam Ward as opposed to year 4 of Marcus with a GM who didn't draft him.
Correct.
I mean, they will exhaust all, as the texture says. Borgonzi wouldn't survive it if they moved off him. Not happening. Yeah, it would be like apocalyptically bad on the field if it's not an injury. And if that's the case, then we can start talking about Arch and whoever.
Hey, I just saw our friend of the show, Nick Baumgartner, came out with the 2027 NFL QB draft class tiers. Like tiering it up, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all that stuff. Okay. You'll be glad to know that Arch is in tier 1. I don't think that's a huge surprise there, but he is one of 6 quarterbacks that are in tier 1.
6 in tier 1?
6? That's what he says.
Okay.
I don't know how he's defining these tiers, but yeah.
So obviously Dante Moore is another one in tier 1.
Correct.
6 in tier 1. Does he have Lenora Sellers in tier 1?
Lenora Sellers is in tier 3.
Tier 3.
Yep.
Okay, I'm obviously blanking on some. I'm blanking
CJ
on some
Carr out of
obvious
Notre
ones.
Dame, who I think may end up being the best one of all of them, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay.
He's got Sayan from Ohio State, Mestamaker from Oklahoma State, and Mayava from USC.
Oh man, come on, Nick.
I'm just telling you.
I love you, Nick. I mean, I love you, Nick, but my God, Mayava should not be in there. Mestamaker, come on. Those are tier 2 guys. Now, again, I'm going to say this right now, and one of them will end up being QB1, but that's a very generous first tier.
That's the first tier. Sorsby's got his own tier in tier 2. He's the only one in there.
Sorsby has his own tier?
His own tier. Yeah.
What's the over-under on his tier?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay.
Hey, I will say this, though, from a sheer quantity standpoint, and hopefully to God, we're not talking about this with the Tennessee Titans at the end of the year. There are a lot of quarterbacks that could be available in next year's draft. A lot.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. As we talk about this, there is no shortage of like talk yourself into the next QB possibility out there. we really need that to not be the case.
I mean, I didn't even.
And again, I'm not. All this stuff in the OTAs is not. I mean, it doesn't move the needle that much. It's just that people so badly, want something good to overreact to.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're being forced right now to underreact to not great stuff.
I didn't even mention like Levitt and the Mensa kid from Miami and Trinidad Chambliss. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks next year. A whole lot.
like 10 quarterbacks go in the first round.
Yeah, seriously.
Now, granted, that has to do that has to do with teams in need. Like, how many quarterbacks in the NFL this year are going to play well enough so they don't care?
Yeah.
Like, again, the Titans are an example of that. I mean, again, I think the Titans are they're on the lower end of teams that would even be thinking about it because they have to give this guy a full runway. But there are a lot of teams that just comes down to like, how does your guy play? But it could end up being massive QB first round.
One texter says if Gunnar Stockton isn't above Arch, then no one knows ball. There you go. I will say the Georgia fan obsession with like quarterbacks going to the NFL. Like, people used to tell us all the time that Stetson Bennett ought to be drafted number 1 overall. It's like, really? I mean, Stetson Bennett, great college player. Congratulations for him to maximizing his college career. And I think you kind of seen what NFL teams think of him.
Yeah. So this is the same texter who said, why are we discussing Taylor Swift's rat face? Okay, there's a take. And now Gunnar Stockton isn't above Arch. You don't know ball. Wow. You are
Good
on
combo.
one today, my friend.
Good combo.
Yeah, it's quite those two together.
For the first time in history, that combination of thoughts have been put together.
And by the way, someone on the YouTube chat says Swift is a total bandwagon, makes you want the Knicks to lose. I said earlier on the show, you must not have been listening. Apparently, there is photo evidence of her at millions of Knicks games. So
These people are just Taylor Swift haters.
Yeah,
it's a close personal friend of mine.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just jealous.
Don't mess with friends of the show. Okay,
and if you talk about
friends of part of the show,
and if you talk about where she began her love for athletics, Ellis Middle School football practice,
watching Robby Stanley,
watching it get done out there.
There you go. I think she's been a sports enthusiast for a long time.
Ever since. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. The Rob Rant coming up next. Charles Robinson to begin the 8 o'clock hour. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
My body feels great.
Keep it limber.
Mike, is there a single fan out there that's smart at all, or are they all stupid? Let us know.
Oh, Willis Reed's walking out of the tunnel. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
We have to replace our MVP. We have to replace our entire kicking game.
Tell me about how badly the Knicks are going to lose so that I could feel great about them.
Ketchup, I love it, but you don't put it on a freaking hot dog.
A hot dog was kind of sounding good. And I even thought to myself at the time, I might even put ketchup on it. Like, that's how good a hot dog sounds right now. I'd even be willing to do that.
Look at that wide body. I like when you look at a guy from behind and he's got a wide ass. I got to say that.
We got to maintain our lower bodies a little bit better.
Go, New York. Go, New York. Go.
It is time for the Rob Rant here on the program, brought to you by Rapid Response Generators. Power when it matters most, and served by the Wine Cellar in Hendersonville. Joe, you know, when we were having technical issues earlier in the show, we should have just had Ian play every mashup he's ever made. Would have worked out well.
Yeah, right? That would have been way better than me fumbling through like, oh, do you guys like soccer? We got to remember that
How much
next
soccer
time.
you guys going to watch?
Now, by the way, very quickly, my answer on that is I will watch the U.S. games if it's close, and that's about where I stop. I draw the line.
Okay.
So
you're not going to randomly watch
No.
Germany,
No chance.
Uruguay?
No.
Okay. All right.
Nope. It'll be YouTube golf and preparing for the majors. Ready to go.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, you already have your summers aren't as barren as others because you care as much as you do about golf.
Right. So we'll see how that goes.
Good for you.
I want to speak to Predators fans today because I keep hearing this phrase getting thrown out there, and I think we need to look a little bit closer at recent history and maybe stop with it. You know, forever I think this phrase was applicable. And I understood the plight of Predators fans, but we're not even there anymore. And the phrase is simply this. How many times have we heard this on the show, Joe? Some version of, I'm tired of just making the playoffs. You know, like I want
Right.
I want to make the playoffs and have an opportunity to compete and have a run and win a championship, all those things, which, by the way, I'm here for it. Like, I'm with you. I want you to have an opportunity to compete and win a championship. But hey, can we at least acknowledge that in the short term right now, they don't even do that anymore. They're not making the playoffs anymore. They've missed the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years. And the year they made it, they got, ungodly hot down the stretch of the end of the regular season, and we're out in the first round. So, yes, for a long time, it was applicable. They made the playoffs a lot, didn't have a ton of postseason success to show for it. They've been past the second round of the playoffs one time. But I've heard a lot in, like, the recent days of, wow, I'm so tired of just making the playoffs. It's like, well, you guys haven't made the playoffs in 2 years. It's been 2 years, and you've missed it 3 out of the last 4. So I do think there's probably a little bit of acknowledgement that it's not really even the same. They missed the playoffs this year for the second time in a row. I think that's the first time they missed the playoffs 2 years in a row since Barry Trotz got fired as the coach back in 2013 and 2014. So I just think there's probably needs to be an acknowledgement of, yes, while it was true forever that Predators fans had grown tired of only making the playoffs, right now they don't do that. So let's get back to that at some point, and then we can worry about, making a deep run at that point. That's my rant today.
It's funny you say this because honestly, I had forgotten that it's 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
In my head, it's still like, yeah, like they mostly make it, but they, then they miss here. No, they actually don't even do that. And if you don't even make the playoffs, I guess it's like, we always also talk about the mushy middle, right? This is like the low. What is the underbelly of the mushy middle? Because that's really what it is. It's the low part of the mushy middle. The mushy middle to me still means like making the playoffs probably more often than not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
This is like the I don't know. I'll have to come up with something else for it. But mushy middle, like that's over complimenting what they've done recently.
That's what I'm saying. Like, forever that phrase was true. And I understand, like, Predators fans in particular who have been Predators fans for a long time. And it dates back to, Look, it took a while to get your first playoff series win. Like, I was there the day they did it, and the place that there were people legitimately, Joe, and I understood it. There were people legitimately crying in the stands when they won their first playoff series because they had been there time and time again, and it had been disappointment after disappointment. You looked like in 2010 you were going to win. You were up late in the game of Game 5, or we're going to have a chance to come back in Game 6 to close out Colorado, and a total disaster at the end of Game 5. You lose that. I mean, it was just heartbreak after heartbreak, and then they finally got it done and won a playoff series. And then, you go through the kind of what to this point has been the golden age of the franchise, getting to the Cup final, winning the President's Trophy, all those things. And since then, they have not won a playoff series since 2018 when they won the President's Trophy. It's been that long. We're approaching a decade since the last time they won a playoff series. So I understand that there was a long period of time that Predators fans were just tired of only making the playoffs. But right now, they don't do that. They missed it 3 out of the last 4 years. And somehow I just think that gets forgotten in this discussion too much.
Yeah, it should be like, I'm so sick of not even making the playoffs, but thinking that we might make the playoffs.
Right.
Dennis has the soggy bottom. That's not bad. What about the tramp stamp? Like the top of the butt?
Sure.
Kind of like at the top of the bottom. Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. Got sandy bottom, marshy middle, stanky bottom. We got a lot of
votes.
People are ready with the with the phrases when we ask for them.
Yeah. Someone says the soft underbelly. I kind of like
That's not
that
bad.
too. So good stuff going on out there. All right. I mean, next year, I heard Vengen put out the results to his Predators fan survey yesterday on DVD. So that I enjoyed that.
Can you summarize for me?
Yeah, pretty much. Like people are relatively optimistic about the future because there's a change in place. I would not describe the confidence level in Andrew Burnett as very high. People did not like Barry Trotz's tenure as general manager, with several people giving him a D and F as the grade for that. It was pretty split across that, though, but D and F. But yeah, that's kind of the summation of it. I think there's a large degree of optimism with Chris McFarland coming in, and people love Matthew Wood. That was also clear in this fan survey.
Okay. Did he ask a question specifically about Brady Martin?
I don't think so. I'm trying to rack my head and remember. I don't think so.
Okay. All right. That tracks, and people should be optimistic. But that's the thing. It's like when the Preds are back to just making the playoffs, it might be like a good thing. Like, oh, look,
they're back in.
Now they've gotten to this point,
yeah.
But they're on the ascent, right? That's the whole idea, is get to the point where making the playoffs is actually a feat for a young team.
Yeah.
When will that happen?
He did ask when Predators fans expect to make the playoffs again. And I think the lowest percentage answer was next year. I think as you went out, there are a lot of people that said, like 4 years from now or 2 years from now, 3 years from now. But next year, I believe, was the lowest answer, which that tracks.
4 years from now, man.
That'd be tough.
It's possible. Look at the league. Look at what happens in this league. But it's not something you like to think about. And then no one will be saying, yeah, I'm just sick of making the playoffs.
Just only making the playoffs. I'm sick of it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Charles Robinson with us coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. And we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Charles Robinson to the program. Charles, good morning. Thank you for being with us. How we doing? What's going on?
Hanging in, gents. Sorry, I got a heck of a head cold I'm dealing with right now, sore throat. Probably shouldn't have stayed up late watching the game last night. But
well, you sound outstanding, just for the record.
You sound fine.
All right. Well, I'll take it. Is that the worst sports collapse of all time? Like,
it's got to be
settled on that. I mean,
I don't know what's in your mind as a football guy. What's worse, last night or 28-3 from the Falcons?
I mean, I was there for 28-3. You know, here's my thing. Your 28-3 collapse came against arguably the greatest quarterback in NFL history, right? And you had to go to overtime for it to happen. It's hard to compare the two, but I mean, I've just never seen a team with a 29-point lead have that just absolutely no poise down the stretch. No, it's funny, man, because if you've watched the series, you can tell the Spurs are young. Like, you can tell, like, just their guard play, and they just don't have. They're not there yet with that killer instinct, and they get off to these big leads, and then all of a sudden they get really soft. And I think a lot of that is just, sometimes you see it with NFL teams that are really young. They just don't have the ability to understand how to close and pressure situations. I mean, I love Victor Wembanyama. We've talked about this before. I think he's like one of the I've never seen anything like that guy before. But their 3 losses, he dribbles the ball off his foot in the first one late in the game when it's time for him to make a play. The second game, he hits Castle in the back with a pass and then fouls Brunson when it's time for him to make a play. Last night he misses 2 free throws. So, like, he's anointed. He's going to be a great player, but you can see where the growth's got to come. But God, what an unbelievable like. The Knicks, man, what a crazy. It was as we're watching it last night, like the last 10, 15 seconds. I literally said to Don, I'm like, you can see where this is going. Something's going to happen that's going to make this one of the finals games we'll talk about for the rest of our lives.
But see, I think 28-3 is worse because, I mean, the coaching miscalculation that was part of that.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle Shanahan,
Sure,
they completely that was not necessary. It did not have to happen, and it wasn't just player error on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Throwing the football when they didn't have to. I mean, that'll be something that, if you're really going to do the deep dive on Kyle Shanahan, you can't do it without talking about what he did as the Falcons offensive coordinator in that game. No doubt.
I think it was Brady's greatness, and that was, Rexrode won't put him in the top 30 of his best quarterbacks of all time, but I think Brady had a lot to do with it, Joe.
He's top 30. Come on.
Let it go.
Easily, right?
We really debating this guy.
It's unbelievable.
Let's talk about Cam Ward's accuracy. How about
let's do that, because it's a big talking point around here this week. I mean, look, this is not just an OTAs thing. Like, he wasn't very accurate last year. There were concerns about accuracy heading into the draft with Cam Ward. So this is an ongoing thing with him when it comes to, is he going to at some point be consistently accurate enough to develop into the type of quarterback that the Titans hope he is as the number 1 overall pick? Apparently it hasn't gone great for him at OTAs on the accuracy front. So where do you come down, not only on him and the accuracy, but the idea in general of quarterbacks dramatically improving in that area to the point in the NFL where it becomes maybe a weakness to a strength, which we don't see happen that often?
Well, Brian Daboll did it with Josh Allen.
He did.
Right? I mean, that was a guy who dramatically, obviously completely reshaped his ability to be an accurate quarterback. I'd be more I get it. I totally understand the concern, particularly after the rookie season. I think we have to factor in, though, the overall roster around him last year. I mean, there's a lot that went into that. It wasn't just him, and I would be super concerned if you look back at Washington State and Miami when he played in college and said, okay, he was never accurate, and that's just not true. I mean, he was his completion percentage, I think, overall in the final 3 years of college for him was 66% plus. And, I think if anyone can get him on track, it's going to be, Brian Daboll. But I think we have to be realistic about there are a couple of different things happening here right now. He's working with Tierney, the quarterback's coach, for the first time. He's working with Daboll for the first time. He's adjusting to an offense right now. He's adjusting to really, for the most part, what's going to be a new set of receivers for him. So I think a lot of that plays into it. I also think confidence plays into it. Just the rhythm of kind of getting his feet under him. I'm sure he's not going to admit it, but there's no doubt in my mind he's probably swimming right now. It's his second year in the league, right? And he's already dealing with a massive amount of change around him. I think if we get into the latter stages of training camp, if we're talking about this like in late August, then I'd be concerned. Then I'm like, okay, if he's throwing a lot of interceptions, if he can't, seem to get himself into a rhythm with Daboll by late August, that's something that I think then carries into, the regular season. And that's, you look at it, and if a guy's taking a lot of sacks or he's just playing really slow in camp, those are things that by late August, you realize this is going to bleed into the season. This is now becoming, something that they're going to have to adjust on the fly. But I'm not panicking now just because of the amount of change that's around him. If he had been working with, if this is consistency with the staff, everybody's there from a year ago, the system hasn't changed, the roster hasn't changed, and we're talking about these issues existing, then that would be one thing. But everything around him having adjusted the way that it has, and I have confidence in Daboll in, solving that. Like I think he can figure it out as long as Cam Ward's willing to put the work in. I think he can get there. So it's June. I get it. I understand. It's not like he hasn't been working in the off-season passing program and whatnot. But I definitely don't. I'm not freaking out about this until we get into the dog days of those August practices, and then I think if it's still an issue, then you're going to have to start to figure out what needs to be I think cut out of the offense, or if something needs to be cut down, or there's just certain parts of the route tree that aren't clicking for him, or the rhythm's not there. Then you start to ask some bigger questions.
I'll quickly sub-question this, Charles, because I got somebody who's claiming that it was all the biomechanics coach and nothing to do with Daboll, which I don't think anyone would agree with. But to set that record straight, yes, Josh Allen absolutely did all kinds of work mechanically to help himself. But Brian Daboll had a ton to do with him becoming the quarterback. Correct?
But I think both narratives can be true. I think that's the the one thing that I think probably gets cleaned up more than anything on the NFL level with quarterbacks is just mechanics. No matter how good quarterbacks are, when they come into the league, most of them, they're a little loose, they're a little sloppy. They're not, you just being completely sound in what you're doing and then being able to be repetitive about it. I mean, that was the thing with Josh was, especially quarterbacks that have big arms. And I would say about Cam, the thing that is probably a little concerning is that when he played at Miami, the improvisational aspect of some of the things that he did, players that improvise a lot on the college level, they tend to over rely on either their arm to get certain things done and clean up their bad habits, or again, when you're improvising and you're having success doing that, you're often, you'll find guys aren't throwing off the proper platform, or they're just not being, consistently mechanically sound from one snap to the next. And that's sort of the loose, the very loose nature that has to be cleaned up on the NFL level. I think for Allen, it was a little bit of both. I mean, he had the massive arm. There were surrounding talent issues, obviously, in college. He didn't have the kind of, it's not like he's playing with like an SEC roster of NFL caliber players in college. I think that had something to do with it, but a lot of it was just teaching him that you can't, the over-reliance on your arm, you have to learn how to take, shorter, more efficient things. You have to learn how to just settle your feet down. That's, one of those things that you constantly hear about rookies is they just don't have the confidence, or even first year, second year players to just settle down and be very meticulous and consistent about what you're doing with with your feet and your platform, and you starting to weed out some of the bad habits that because of your talent level were able to exist in college. And that's why you bring in a Brian Daboll. You need someone to, work with him, be patient with him, and confidence has got to play into it too. I think he's got to get confident in believing that what Brian Daboll is going to be, installing for him, what Tierney's going to be, working with him on, that he can trust them, and then getting to know the new receivers that he's gotten from them.
So, Charles, we've talked with you about the idea of Minnesota, potentially punting on J.J. McCarthy after 10 games played, after being drafted. He's in the quarterback competition with Kyler Murray. And Murray was asked about, what kind of the toughest part of getting into Kevin O'Connell's offense is. And he said, quote, "Me already being behind and not getting the reps that you would typically want a guy to get learning an offense is probably the toughest part," which obviously generated some reaction there. What do you think about those comments from Murray and the quarterback competition in Minnesota and how that's shaping up?
I don't, it's not great. Like, when I heard it, I thought, okay, this sounds like, to me, if I'm, how when we watch press conferences, we can always translate to each other. Like, okay, they said this or they didn't say this, and we kind of know what they're getting at. For me, I think when I heard that, in my mind, I thought, this is a guy who walked in here thinking, I'm the starting quarterback, so I should be getting all these reps. I should be, there clearly should be, I think in Kyler's mind, at least this is how I interpret those comments, that in his mind, he thinks there's already a clear pecking order in the quarterback room. And maybe he's right about this, by the way. Maybe there should be, but that he's like, look, I'm coming in here to be the starter. I should be getting, the starting reps. Like, everything should be focused on me right now, catching up as quickly as possible, rather than splitting up, any of these reps or going through. I think what's curious about this right now is that externally, and I think even internally, everything points to this not really being a quarterback competition, right? We all. Yes. I don't think a lot of people are buying that even exists. And there's nothing I had heard, whether it was going to the combine, coming out of the combine, heading toward the draft, and after Murray ended up in Minnesota, there was nothing I had heard about really McCarthy being in the plans there as the starting quarterback. And they've obviously played out the narrative. I think some of that's because ownership, there's an affinity for McCarthy amongst, ownership. I think they spent a high draft pick on him. So there's this idea of not publicly basically going out there and saying, we probably blew this pick. But I think when Kyler goes there, his thought is, I'm playing for a long-term contract extension in 2027 and beyond. That's what my 2026 is about. So when I walk in, I expect to be treated like, okay, we're sliding all our chips on you. We're going to figure this out as quickly as possible and give you the best opportunity possible. But I don't think the problem is when he says it publicly, what bothers me about this is you really kind of look back through Kyler's history. Even if you go to college and, when he played at Oklahoma, like, he's really,
kind of a crybaby.
Really, he's not. My thing is, when has he really been thrust into a situation where he had to really actually fight to be that starting quarterback? He was the anointed. He had the high school record that he had, which was ridiculous. When he's in college, obviously before he becomes the starter at Oklahoma, he's in the Oakland A's system and football's kind of a back burner thing. But once he became the starter at Oklahoma, pretty much whenever Kyler's been considered to be, hey, we think you're a starting quality quarterback, going all the way back to high school, he's never really been put in a situation where he's had to fight for anything or split reps or all these different things in terms of the reality of how a team actually looked at him. He got to Arizona. They booted, Josh Rosen just to get to Kyler. He just took this guy in the first round, the year before. The one situation where he kind of got to a point where the team had said, we're not going to do this with you anymore, was last year with Jacoby Brissett. And look how that turned out, right? The organization was like, we don't even want you around anymore. Yeah. And so it's not great. It's not, in some respects, I get where he's coming from, but he also has to understand what the organization's trying to set up here. And even if I'm sure there are very strong suggestive notions behind the scenes that you're our starting quarterback. He's just going to have to deal with, what this is right now. But this, in some ways, I think this fits, honestly, with a narrative of kind of how he's carried himself, how he's been perceived by teammates. He doesn't always say the right things all the time. But, I think this is a point too where he knows I have to be selfish right now, because if I don't get this done here in 2026, I might not be a starting quarterback in the NFL after 2026. So, this is like finessing the refs in an NBA game where you're like, keep talking about the officiating and then eventually things will go your way. I think him saying what he said publicly probably puts a little bit of pressure on the Vikings to, okay, maybe we need to start to shift this quote unquote quarterback competition publicly, the focus of this, into what's really going on, which is Kyler's the starter, and you just need to start treating him like the starter.
Yeah, but like you said, one, it's delicate for them, probably for O'Connell too, and also I love you're saying the right things when these guys are talking about their relationship, and then this comment is basically him saying, I mean, everybody knows JJ sucks, right? Like I need all the reps. Like,
well, they gotta get JJ ready anyway, Charles, because Call of Duty comes out in the fall, and we know that Kyler will be useless that week. So you got to get JJ ready to go for that week.
With the Call of Duty, I mean, maybe that's true though.
Gotta get JJ ready for that week.
I think there is certainly Kyler's not dumb, man. He knows when he says those things, he understands what the implied message is from him, which is like, hey, I'm the starter, catch me up, right? Like, we're not, I know we're doing this thing where we're saying it's a quarterback competition, but he certainly does not seem to think it's a quarterback competition. You don't make those comments if you really honestly believe you're competing for the starting job. You make those comments if you're like, I am the starter, I'm here. Like, treat it that way and let's get things moving. Not a great way, I think, to kind of head into camp. But I will say this, it is kind of absurd, the facade that's kind of been put around this whole thing, because thus far I don't think there's anybody in media who's dealt with that team or talked to, anybody on that staff where there has not been a very, very strong implied message that, JJ McCarthy is not the starter there. He's not going to be the starter there. He's not, they're doing what they can to, keep him competitive, maybe keep his head in it. I wouldn't doubt that maybe there's an element too of you dress this up because at some point you're going to have to move on from McCarthy. Maybe you still think he's an asset, because look at Anthony Richardson. The second we knew he was toast in Indianapolis, we knew it wasn't happening for him. What happened to his trade value? It went to zero.
Yep.
Like there's nothing you were going to give up for Anthony Richardson. I think McCarthy's a season from being worth nothing on the trade market.
So Charles,
meanwhile,
go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to just ask about the AJ Brown. You knew that there was going to be some post-divorce, revelations. What do we think of what AJ has said here about Jalen Hurts?
Well, we knew. It just tells me, he comes out and he says the two things that I think were the biggest. And this is what drives me crazy about when you kind of play this game with teams. First, Nick Sirianni comes out and he basically says, hey, guys don't have to be best buddies, on NFL teams, or, it was a massive word salad of him. If you really boiled it down, was just, these guys weren't vibing with each other, but it's an NFL team, and often guys, you don't all have to vibe together to be a good team, or good teammates or whatever. And then AJ comes out and says that he and Jalen Hurts had drifted from each other, and no kidding, like really, it's pretty clear. Like, we all saw that happen over the course of last season, and you play this game, and I appreciate, frankly, AJ Brown for just saying it, because we knew that was the reality. We knew. I mean, it's funny because I think people forget that, like, the whole streaming thing when he was making comments about, basically making comments about his quarterback situation in Philadelphia and the frustrations that he was having. This has been going on now for more than a full season, and it's I think it just everything that we talk about, everything that we see and perceive, especially in a situation like that where it's so obvious, you have two guys that are really not on the same page with each other personally, and they're getting there professionally. It's real. And just because a team wants to deny it and, dress it up however they can, often what you believe is going on and what you see in front of your own eyes it's the truth.
So Charles, on the Malik Neighbors front, he tore the ACL last year. He's got the procedure earlier this year to clean things up. And it just feels like the conversation coming out of there just keeps drifting further and further back about when they hope he's going to be available and hope to get back on the field. What are you making this? And if you're a Giants fan, how concerned are you growing about Malik Neighbors right now?
I mean, John Harbaugh's out here saying that, he thinks he's going to be back, quote unquote, soon. There's no, what does that mean? What does soon mean? What is, in terms of when he's actually going to be able to get on the football field and play at a high level? I don't think anybody knows quantifiably what the word soon means. Like, put a number on it. And they won't do that because the fact of the matter is I don't think they thought they would be at this point now after he had to have the cleanup procedure. And I'm telling you though, when you talk to people around the league just about the knee repair he had and then the cleanup afterward and sort of what realistic timelines are, we might get to like the middle of the season before Malik Neighbors is really, and again, this is just the assessment of others who have watched players kind of go through this before, who understand. Players aren't all the same. It's not a cookie cutter situation. Maybe he's able to get on a faster timeline to getting back on the field and being the player he was. But I don't know, man. I would not be surprised if we get to midseason. This is something we're talking about in like week 5 or 6, and he's still not out there. I'm telling you, there's certainly, after the cleanup procedure happened and it really put it raised a lot of questions and a lot of ambiguity in the franchise about when exactly he was going to be able to get back on the field playing competitive football. It sounds to me like this is something where I would not be shocked if they put him on PUP to start the season. And, all of a sudden I think they will do everything they can to not do that because they don't want to box themselves into him missing that kind of, time to start the season. But, yeah, it's not great. And there's no shortage of people around the league who look at that and go, you know what, I bet you maybe we don't even see him until October.
So $500 million freaking dollars for Patrick Mahomes, huh? The wild thing to me about this, Charles, is that like there's incentives. So it's like $505 billion that he's getting. Million. Incentives can get him to like 522. It's like incentives can give him a tiny little fraction more of this unbelievable money. But I don't know. I guess nothing like with a Mahomes or with a top quarterback, nothing really surprises me. But that still seems just massive to me.
Well, some of that is, it's funny because there's certainly that's an agent marker. There's
right. It's reworked. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there's the whole idea of like being, hey, first player to sign a contract in excess of $500 million. That really rolls off of an agent's tongue when he's out recruiting or he's out recruiting to find their next client. Like that's pretty awesome. Players, obviously it's a pretty massive, ego stroke for any player to say I was the first to get to this point. The deal to me, I mean, it doesn't make any. I'm not surprised at all. It's been years that he's been underpaid, and they could have done a makeup contract and made up a lot of the money that I mean, he was. It was crazy to me that you would look at like the top 10 paid quarterbacks and be like, Mahomes is not in this group. How is this, even possible at this point when we talk about annual average value? I think he'll probably end up making most of that $500 million. And to me, though, the deal, we're all focused on Mahomes and, him getting the deal done and maybe playing through, being locked up through 2033 and all that. The first thing I thought about is like, okay, So Lamar Jackson's up for an extension, that he's got another season beyond 2026, but that's an extension that the Ravens have talked about doing. I think the Cowboys would like to get another deal done with Dak to kind of extend. He's got 2 more years left, but they would like to get another deal locked in with him to at least lengthen that now rather than wait until the last minute to do it. Those are both guys that I think this will really affect. And then I'm telling you, I look at that 2024 quarterback class and I'm like, man, if you're Caleb Williams, if you're Jaden Daniels, if you're Drake May, if you're Bo Nix, like this really impacts you. Like, especially if you can come out and have a banner 2026 season, you're all up for extensions. Coming off of your third season, CJ Stroud to a lesser standpoint, Bryce Young to a lesser standpoint, but everybody right now who's sitting there lining up for a contract, especially, the really young players, those agents are all going to go to the table and go, I don't know, can we get him to the top of the heap? If you're Drake May's agent, you're saying, okay, well, Drake May is going to be a $65 million a year player. Like the guy was, almost the league MVP. We just went to the Super Bowl in year 2. If Jaden Daniels can replicate what he did his first year in the league, that's another guy where the agent's going to be saying highest paid player in football when we do this extension or pretty close to it. So that's what I think about. Is just how the ripple effects are going to, go into that 2024 class. I mean, you think Caleb Williams, if his arc in year 2 is the same arc he brings into year 3, he's going to be the highest paid player in football, right? Those are all, that's what's so wild about really. I mean, maybe you could even put Knicks in that group. All 4 of those players, the agents would, if their current trajectory stands, would want to go into their contract negotiations after 3 years saying, okay, well, the next contract, this is going to be, Patrick Mahomes deal plus $1. Like, we're going to try to get our guys to the top of the heap. So yeah, it's going to have some pretty big ripple effects. And that's without even talking about, some of the veterans right now who are trying to play themselves back into, a long-term whether that's Kyler. I mean, come on, I don't, probably doesn't affect Kyler as much. I can't ever see him signing them, anything close to that, or Tua, or some of these guys that are trying to lock down, longer-term deals. But those young guys, heck yeah, that 2024 class, man, if they live up to what they've done the first 2 years in their career, from an overall standpoint, I'm telling you that is going to be a ton of money that teams are going to be pouring into that quarterback class.
Yep, no doubt about it. Charles, thank you, sir. As always, appreciate you taking time to be with us. You sounded great the whole time. You powered through, and we appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
All right.
Feel better.
Thanks for having me.
Charles Robinson, our guest here on the program. We'll react to what Charles had to say coming next, and Joe Rexrode's going to make a lot of people mad. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Rexrode with some Wawa on the program this morning. So that's good. Good for you.
Thanks to my sister-in-law, Lynn, for the Wawa Sizzly Bacon Croissant Egg and Cheese.
Sounds good.
We are soon about to learn about in our part of the world about the joys of Wawa.
We are.
It's a beautiful thing.
Very much looking forward to that. Joe, scale of 1 to 10, how upset are you that you're not at Bonnaroo today, which is opening up today in our area? No Bonnaroo for Rexrode this year.
Yeah, missing Bonnaroo again. Yeah, I mean, I would have gone. I know that this year there were some acts I liked, but I need to, like, we keep talking about, like, we're going to do the whole thing in like camp and stuff at some point, but it just has to be the right acts. And now I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I will say though, man,
the acts have gone downhill lately. Full disclosure. There was a stretch there from about 2005 to 2016, 17 that were like really, really good. I mean, in
23, which is the only time I've gone, we had Foo Fighters and they were the headliner. They were unbelievable. I got to see Pixies, Franz Ferdinand.
You went with your daughter, Caroline. Yes.
Yes. Yes. I took Caroline, my daughter, Caroline Rexrode. Yes. And there were a lot of other good bands too.
Just to be clear.
What's the band from Franklin? They were really good.
Paramore.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, Paramore.
Paramore was really good, man. I didn't know anything about them. And I was
look through that stretch of 2009 where you got Bruce Springsteen, and then there's a Snoop Dogg, there is Jay-Z, there is Paul McCartney, Elton John,
Creed,
Tom Petty, Dave, Fish. I mean, it was legit.
That's pretty good.
It was legit. Like, I've seen Elton John there. We saw Paul McCartney there. We saw Stevie Wonder there. We saw Snoop there. I've been 7 years. I went 7 years in a row from 09 to 15.
Creed's never played Bonnaroo. That's disappointing.
No, that's not a Bonnaroo crowd.
That's disappointing.
No, Creed does not fit Bonnaroo.
I love Bonnaroo more than I did previously. With that fact, I did not. I would have assumed they would have been on one of those tiny little, like county fair stages somewhere. Tomorrow the Strokes would be the one. I did see them open for the Chili Peppers already, but that would be the band I'd be most excited about. There is a little Modest Mouse on Sunday, but yeah, it's hopefully one of these years the lineup will get to the point where it's time for a full-on Rexrode family camp out.
Well, we'll see how it goes on that front.
We'll see.
LeBron James, Joe, generating some headlines. He did an interview, I believe, with Time, and a lot of different things came up in this interview. But obviously, anytime he sits down for one of these long-ranging interviews at this point, the conversation of the GOAT debate comes up, the greatest of all time, and what he thinks about that, and the Michael Jordan discussion and all these things. And what he said was that is generating a lot of reaction is, quote, "I'm not taking nobody over me. There's no question." And he went on to talk about how, if you look deep down, if you ask Michael Jordan the same thing, he'd say the same thing, or Magic or Bird or Kobe or any of these people. Like, if you asked them the same thing, they would all say that they would take them before anybody else. But he did say, quote, "If there's a general manager and he's eyeballing all of us on a baseline with the number one pick, it's going to be hard not to take me, champ," was the quote from LeBron. Joe, what do you make of that?
Well, good for you, LeBron, because you're right. You're the GOAT. I mean, people can dislike the guy. It's amazing to me. And by the way, this topic, this is one of those things where it's like, are you sure you want to play this card? Because this is the card you play when you have nothing else to play in sports talk radio. It's like, we're going to a GOAT argument. But
he
I will
said
just
something
say
about
this.
it. It's a little different. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We do it. Yeah. Thank you, LeBron. Thank you. Appreciate this headline that I saw. I was like, ooh, well, he said it. But again, I will say this. I think I've said it before. Maybe it was 9 years ago. I think it was 9 years ago. he and a team that had no business winning in Boston won in Boston. He dominated a game 7, and it was just, unbelievable. Of course, the year before they had just beaten the Warriors dynasty for the title. Would they have, had Draymond not been suspended for giving him a nut punch? Probably not, but they won the series, and LeBron had the block. And, at that point, the Jordan LeBron GOAT conversations were intense and all over the place. They were frequent, and it was a great debate. In all seriousness, I know that I like to rip Jordan and tell the truth of him being 1-3 against the Pistons in the playoff series in his overall record. But at that point, I still considered him the GOAT. When LeBron won that game 7 in Boston in 2017, I said, that's it, man. That put him over the top. Well, it's 9 years later. And it's amazing to me that it seems that fewer people want to entertain this. And it's just Jordan, and I'm sorry, but you're wrong. LeBron is the best basketball player of all time. And yes, longevity. I mean, there are a lot of different factors that go into that. So if you want to emphasize one way over the other, you can, but you can't dismiss longevity. I understand that we have a different era of, nutrition and all these things. What he's doing at his age is absolutely insanity. And again, it's 9 years after it was neck and neck, and all the things he's done. I understand it's only one title since then, but all the things he's done in 9, that's not enough. Well, then you're just a Jordan stan who never wants to face the truth.
Well, the one thing I will say, I don't know why he feels like he's always got to say it. I don't. He's the only one that ever talks about it, because he views it as some sort of, and I fully agree with Stephen A. Smith on this. He views it as some form of disrespect if you call him like the second greatest player of all time. Like, he and his camp think that that's just like blasphemous. And I just think that's insane to me. Now, like, I can listen to the argument where he's the greatest of all time. I don't know that I necessarily subscribe to it, but I can listen to it. Like, everything you just laid out makes sense. But he is the only one that ever really talks about it. Like, Michael Jordan has never said that. Tom Brady never says that when he talks about, the football stuff. But for some reason, he's the only one that feels like he's got to talk about it, which bothers me.
Well, yeah, I don't know with Brady. You may be right.
Brady does not say anything about that.
That's fine. Okay. Jordan, though, here's the thing with Jordan. Jordan is a recluse who then goes out and makes this, this hagiography about himself. And Wright Thompson did a story on him a few years ago where they let him in all the access, and he's obsessed with being considered the GOAT. Obsessed with it. You're right. Jordan is not available. He's not playing. He's not doing anything. LeBron is in the NBA. He gets interviewed every day. And I understand this is separate from that because it's the off season, but there is a difference in their accessibility, right? Like, Jordan is absolutely as hung up on this as he is. He just is not out of the public eye. So, and that's fine. But again, it's like, there's a lot of angry reaction, which I knew would happen about LeBron. It's like, again, like someone like, he's a terrible person. Well, first of all, we got someone in the text line saying Kobe. Like, if you say Kobe is above LeBron, ever speak about sports again.
Not close.
Never speak about sports again. Please stop. You have no clue. So let's just put that aside. But yeah, for people, again, LeBron is the GOAT of flopping and all this stuff. People just really don't like him. And you know what? You're allowed to not like him. But terrible person, people are saying this, like, based on what? Like, yeah, you can dislike the guy, think he flops too much, think he's not as good, all that stuff. Like, where does terrible person come from with LeBron James?
I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. I mean, has he been arrested? I don't think so. I don't think he's ever been arrested or gone to jail or anything.
I mean, again, if we're gonna get nitpick on personality stuff or on personal history, let's talk about Jordan's gambling. I mean, LeBron has nothing like that.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We will wrap up the show. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. I said you'd make people mad. You did. Way to go.
Yeah, and the people, there's some people who are like Bulls fans who are like, you're a piss, and that's fine. I mean, I do hate Michael Jordan, so, and that does go back to fandom. But I don't get mad at anybody who wants to claim he's the GOAT. That's a perfectly valid argument to make. Anyone who says Kobe is ahead of LeBron should stop talking about sports forever. Thank you.
I would agree.
Goodbye.
I've said this before. People have elevated Kobe's status in his death. Kobe was a great player. He's one of the greatest players of all time. He is not in Michael Jordan or LeBron James' stratosphere.
It's utterly ridiculous to suggest so. But meanwhile, on the better argument front, Jess on the YouTube chat, I think this is a great point. Bonnaroo, they do a great job of marketing their festival. I mean, I get, as someone who's gone there, I get texts all the time. The tickets are going up tonight, whatever. They do a great job. They absolutely need to have a huge sign that said Creed has never played Bonnaroo. And I will buy that shirt, Jess, if that exists. I will absolutely buy that shirt. Creed has never played here. Boom. You've immediately elevated yourself to one of the finest festivals in the land if you weren't already there.
So much hatred. So much hatred for Creed on this thing. Combo of Michael Jordan, Brady, and Creed, unlike I've ever seen before, of just no respect at all.
So here's so this texter says, who I think is a Bulls fan, whatever, but NBA players say they think Kobe was better than LeBron because Kobe was the standard bearer for them coming up. So if you're talking about what contemporaries say, that's what they believe. Yeah, great. And this person is saying, well, if NBA players say Jordan, how could you possibly argue? Yeah, okay. But you can find NBA players who also say the earth is flat and the moon landing was fake. So, I mean, let's also keep that in mind. Listen, there's no factual, fact-based argument to be made by someone who did or didn't play the game that Kobe is better than LeBron. And it wasn't really an argument when they played at the same time, by the way. This is, to your point, it's a posthumous elevation. And of course, everybody loved the guy. He was a great, great player.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a top 15 player. I think I can say that.
Yes.
I think safely. But no, that's
which again,
asinine. There's
nothing wrong with that. And that again goes back to like my problem with LeBron and all this is he takes it as like a personal affront when someone calls him the second best player of all time. It's like, really, dude? Like, is that what you're going to get hung up on? Who cares? So it's a bad thing to be the second greatest NBA player of all time?
Well, if you believe you're the best, then you want people to tell you that you're the best. Avanzi says, Jordan, Brady, and Creed. Joe is the hater of the GOATs of their respective fields of work.
Yeah,
yes,
I agree.
Exactly. So, somehow we get all these things mixed up. Craig says he saw Willie Nelson and Snoop share the stage at Bonnaroo and they knew each other's songs. I knew that they played dominoes, smoked a lot of weed, and went and got KFC. I did not know they played at Bonnaroo together. That's exciting.
I can envision a scenario where they've probably had a few jam sessions, just kind of hanging out, maybe learning the playlist of each other, See that?
I'm trying to think of Willie ripping through some doggy style tracks. And I'm trying to think the other way around. I would pay to see that. Absolutely.
Well, it's been an eventful show today, Joe. We got things rolling. Got it going. Got a lot of people mad on the text line right now as we exit the show today. We'll be back to pick up the discussion in the morning. Next man up, Jake Lyman, is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.
I will get absolutely wrecked and be belligerent and scream at Scott Stapp if you'd like.